be earning an annual income of 500. So you are excluded from those.
So from 500 below.
Yeah.
Right? That's it. So from 500 below, you're more likely to get into to benefit from the loan, which sounds on paper like a great idea. Now, the payment issue is the biggest, or one of the biggest talking points so far. Now, it states that you should be able to pay from 2 years after your NYSC. Now, that's assuming, erroneously, I have to add, that's assuming that 2 years after you're done with the youth service scheme, you have a job. We live in a country, Kosi, where people have left NYSC and they have never gotten a job. Ignore the fact that some people wait 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years before they get their job, their first official paying job. Some people never do. I have friends who, after 3 years of waiting for jobs, going for interviews, they quit and started their businesses. Right? Now, it also states that, okay, after you start a business, right, you will be made to, remit some of your profits from the business to pay the loan, student loan, which is great. Because see, I did make mention to the off-air and to a few friends of mine that even the very popular, loved and maligned former US President Barack Obama did not finish paying his own student loans until he was in his 40s. He did not finish. And I do know that there are medical doctors, and medical doctors in the US can be one of the better paying segments in the economy. They can be the best, some of the best paying, right, workers in America. Some doctors that people see drive flashy cars in the US are still indebted to their student loan schemes 20 years after they've left medical school. And then if you bring that to Nigeria, I'm not saying you cannot work in Nigeria, please. But if you bring that to Nigeria, you now ask, what's the feasibility of people who just 2 years after they come out? They didn't say after 2 years you must pay everything, but you start to pay. The question is, if you start paying 2 years, assuming you get a job, how long would you then pay for?
A couple of things to note there. You're absolutely correct. The U.S. student loan system is it's an interesting situation in the country. About $1.7 trillion owned in student loan debt. However, this is where ours is different. You see, the U.S. is not really a welfare state, and most of the developed countries we look to, they give and then they take. Theirs is not interest-free. Ours will be interest-free.
That's what's on paper.
Yeah, it will be interest-free. And then think of it, Jude. What is the opportunity cost of not getting an education at tertiary level? Versus the trouble of repaying your loan 2 years after your National Youth Service Corps. What is the opportunity cost? Would you rather be burdened with meeting your obligation of repaying a debt that you owe, or going through a lifetime of not being able to access tertiary education because you weren't able to access the funds? That's a big question. Now, another thing to look at is the fact that it is completely voluntary. No one would conscript you into accessing the student loan when it's up and flying. So if you get up and make a choice,
it's of your own volition.
From your own volition, then you will be obligated, and quite rightfully so, to meet up with your debt going forward. So no one is going to tie a rope to your neck and say that it is mandatory for you to take the loan. If you go on the basis of your own free will to access the loan, then you must then prepare your mind to be able to pay with it. So what's the alternative? Let's think for a moment that government isn't the lender. Maybe you go to an uncle or a friend of yours, and it's not completely charitable. They are giving you a loan. Wouldn't you pay back? Chances are that an interest will also be involved in the loan transaction. So I think some of the reactions coming from certain quarters against this Student Loan Act is more or less in the usual habits of finding a problem for every solution. Nigerians have maybe let me not say Nigerians, we're a large part of the population, in my own experience, it might be different for some other person, are always pessimistic towards, government policies. And this is another example that those who argue that Nigeria has actually been a welfare state, this is one of the things they would hearken on to. The loans are interest-free. So let's factor in inflation going forward. If it continues to be the case, government will bear the losses of the devaluation of the monetary value of what they had given to you as a loan.
But then, and this is where the other argument, for like you like to say, the pessimistic side of it, that if ab initio 3 decades ago or 4 decades ago, particularly in the past 3 decades, with the increase in the frequency of strikes in Nigeria, if the educational sector, right, had been adequately tackled, we probably wouldn't be in this place. Now, in the past 3 decades, we've seen the government very systematically, right, pull away from providing quality education. Some would say, that's why I'm using the word, some would say quality education at the primary level, secondary level, and the bastion for the common man, the hope for many in Nigeria, that if I get into university, if I can get that 4-year course, become an accountant, become, a physiotherapist, become a medical doctor, become an engineer, become a psychiatrist, become anything, right? I will now be able to use those skill sets, get a job, and take care of my family. That last beacon, apparently, they say, has been taken away because, yes, there is a loan, but if the education sector has been so financed and taken care of in the past 3 decades in particular, increasing, I think the highest percentage of the budget that education ever received was about 11 or 12% of the annual budget for this country, and it falls far short. It falls far short from the stipulated 25 or 30% that the UN says, look, you should get to for education. If schools, the way some of our parents benefited from in those days, were functioning now, there would have been no reason to have this discussion about student loans. In fact, the only time a student loan would have come into equation would be for those who want to get to the postgraduate level. You can get trained to get your basic degree, your BSc, your master, your BSc, your bachelor's. But if you want to get further, become a master's, or ultimately become a professor, then you have to pay. A lot of people don't or didn't have the problem with that notion.
Well, I want to disagree a little bit with your direction on this, because let's look at other countries that on face value have been getting things right more than we have. Canada, Australia, the United Kingdom, the USA, they still have this student loan system in place. So I'm not sure we're at this point because our education has failed, because other places that maybe run better systems still have something quite similar to what we have. Now it's back to the question of sustainability. I used to think as a socialist, but of course over the years I changed my viewpoint because look, the very notion, government has been over the years guilty of not providing the enabling environment on many occasions for things to evolve, and the private sector and a market forces driven economy to thrive, right? But the very idea that government should create jobs is false.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's false.
Look at the number of students we admit into universities every academic cycle. Look at the number that we churn out every academic cycle. In how will government keep creating artificial jobs to absorb I get that maybe we're due for a break.
But no. So, but I understand the narrative. Yes, it's false. It's insensitive for anybody to think government is going to create jobs. But it's not about creating jobs or becoming directly employed under the government as the issue. It is, like we like to say, it's become a cliche phrase in this country, creating the enabling environment. And that's what a lot of people are saying. Nobody wants to, as it were, work for A and B, government parastatal. But let's have a place where people can create jobs. We'll go on a break. When we come back, Kosi and I having a bit of a debate this morning, and you're going to join us after the break. Stay tuned. Good morning. Welcome to Headline News right here on 92.3 Nigeria Info. My name is Jude Omamigbe. Official report on Sunday's oil spill in Aleto Eleme, River State expected today. Bounty redeemed as police kill wanted gang in River State. IGP orders assessment promotion of traffic wardens. NLC calls for more economic equality to address child labor. NAPTIP says thousands of trafficked Nigerian women, girls trapped in Mali. In business, e-hailing cab drivers issue 7-day strike ultimatum. In sports, Real Madrid complete signing of England midfielder on 6-year deal. And in entertainment, Grammy Awards adds Best African Music Performance category. On the foreign scene, at least 32 dead as migrant boat capsizes off Greece. Details and more will come up away during subsequent news bulletins. My name is Jude Omamigbe. Peace is a path to the prosperity of a nation. Let peace reign.
This is 92.3.
To you.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Very well, Briggs. Thank you for joining us.
The student loan thing is a beautiful thing. It shows the government is taking people. So people should not criticize it. They should rather think of how to take advantage of it positively. Another thing, I would like to advise the government, put that money in a bank, in a fixed deposit where it will be yielding interest. The bank will have advantage of having money to trade with.
Okay.
And government could use the interest to continue to fund the loan scheme. That's my own point about it. I think it's a good thing.
Okay, Briggs, that's a fantastic idea. We'll get to that shortly. Zion, we have a minute for you. Go on, please.
This policy is detrimental, depressive, stifle, and subject any Nigerian student that want to subscribe to it into depression.
Why so? Very quickly, Zion.
This is not how educational systems are working.
In other countries, it's working.
The former president of America was depressed before he was managed to pay off his school fees he was doing. No, just imagine. You could not pay your school fees until you became a senator. Now, just suppose it to a Nigerian student. So if you borrow or access that loan, you will not able to pay it until you become a senator in Nigeria. No, just imagine.
But you do know that the loans here in in Nigeria rather, is not going to be interest based. They're going to be interest free, Zion. So there are two different things. Kosi, welcome back. Let's get back into our discussion. The phone lines are already hitting. I already have messages coming through. I'm going to share a few of them with you. Now, just before the break, we're talking about this very issue about the way these loans will come about being repaid. And you made mention, hey, it's not going to be interest based, so people shouldn't be worried.
It's not going to be interest based, and comparing tuition here in Nigeria to what you have in the United States is quite different. I have a cousin. She has to spend about $70,000 annually for her education. So
it's amazing.
Already education here in Nigeria, as far as the public schools are concerned, is already very subsidized, which back to the welfare state argument. So the thing about Barack Obama being depressed, yeah, he said so himself. It's a statement of fact. But imagine his depression if he was unable to get an education. He probably wouldn't be a senator and probably wouldn't be a president. So there is always something you have to
trade
wage
off
against something else. Yeah.
Okay. Now, talking about the welfare state. Yes, education is subsidized. You made reference to your cousin, and there are several Nigerians. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of Nigerians, interestingly, who are abroad, who are being trained in courses that are very expensive. A lot of people think medicine and engineering are probably the most expensive courses. There are courses that cost as much as 150,000 naira for tuition. And some of the more elitist schools, you could pay a lot more for duration of your stay in that school. Now, some Nigerian parents are able to pay off those fees for their children. They pay them off. And one of the biggest issues, one of the biggest talking points if you remember, like last year, was the issue of medical doctors, leaving the country because they are not happy, with the state of the country, their welfare and their well-being. Now, some people say, well, the country is already subsidizing your training. You learn, and let's be honest, when doctors are done, 6th year during their service year, the housemanship, their training here, they start to earn some money. And then they want to seek greener pastures. People saying, hey, we'll stop you from going abroad for a period of time until you serve this country. And they're saying, no, it's wrong. The school fees that they've paid, or they paid, and don't forget, even as it's subsidized, doctors still pay one of the highest school fees here in Nigeria. So why would anybody fault doctors for leaving when they've already paid the school fees? The books that they pay for already, it's freaking expensive. The anatomy classes, the pharmacological practicals that they have to go to, right? Fine. Maybe the government is subsidizing it for a lot of them in the Uniports, the Uniben and the Unilags, but they still have a right to, jackpot after they are done.
Yeah, we'll get to the doctors. A very controversial issue. Look, Jude, there are lots of things wrong with this country. I agree. And why wouldn't I know? I live in it. All right? But also two truths can hold at the same time. Lots of things are wrong with the country, but the country has also given a lot to Nigerians. I mean, look at education, for instance. UBE, which brought the commission, UBEC,
yes,
basically makes basic education up until junior secondary
school,
free as far as public schools are concerned. We just talked about the cost of tuition in the UK, in the US. I mean, we all have friends in those places, and we know how many jobs they have to work to be able to just get an education. Now, everyone has the right to aspire. As a broadcaster, I have aspirations as well. My problem when it comes to doctors is the fact that certain professions have different ethics attached to them. So which also now affects how I look at the aspirations. Now, and this is one of the problems I found with the media narrative when it was being proposed at the National Assembly to put an embargo of a number of years before doctors could travel abroad, is that Many Nigerians did not realize, criticizing that move, did not realize that that was being done for us, you and me, the patients and would-be patients. Right. So it costs far less to get medical education in Nigeria here than it would cost to get one in Harvard or somewhere in the UK. Because of what? Government's intervention. Universities, public universities, are basically funded by the government through the Ministry of Education. There's universities now. There is also the TED Fund thing that was instituted was in 2011, where they would come percentage of taxes.
We'll get into education sector without making buildings or funding for research and things like that. Now, all of that is true. But whilst it's subsidized, you don't expect the doctor. Yes, one of the oaths that they take, the Hippocratic Oath, first do no harm, right? But you forget that doctor is a human being as well. That doctor needs food, rice and beans, boiled and fish, clothes like the next person. The Hippocratic Oath is not an oath to piety. It's not an oath to sufferance. It's not an oath to internal servitude. It's an oath first and foremost to make sure life is saved. But the life of the doctor is also important, because if the doctor doesn't have life, forget whether the person can afford the school fees, the person cannot treat you.
Look, Jude, doctors have a special calling. And for people for people who work in that sector, I very much doubt that money and personal welfare should be the very key motivation.
Okay, now Chuku has been patient with us. Chuku is on the line in Nigrita. Chuku, let's hear you very quickly.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The student loan is welcome development, but I want us to look at some angle.
Yes, please.
Number one, there are people that uproot their fathers to sponsor their to school. So those vegetable sellers, those people that cannot even afford or even get access. And this loan has time and conditions that not everybody is a civil servant. And those people that cannot have access to this loan now, what will happen to them?
But that's the
I'm suggesting.
Okay.
I'm suggesting, why not even though if they cannot make free education, why not cut down companies so that everybody can have access to that? Because if the school fees is cut down, as we went from get that vegetable and said, you can afford to send his child to school. That's number one. Lastly, I want to also look at in this aspect. When people were paid, living in the same school, and their father have all what he says, have all the qualities, terms and conditions, he has it, and he get this loan to you. And me, I don't have. In that school, will I not look at myself as somebody that don't play with life, and look down on myself and think otherwise, and even join whoever dies so that I can be somebody.
Well, that's an interesting take, talking about the societal stratification that will come with the assets of loans. But if I'm not mistaken, Chuku, thank you very much for your contribution. If I'm not mistaken, Ekosi, even in these countries where the loans are, it's usually those who get the loans that are looked down upon. Those parents of the very wealthy and affluent, they make it post, I'm not owing any student loans. I'm okay. I'm comfortable. So this idea that, if someone can't get the loan, maybe he now starts to do anything to make money to get, like you said, maybe it's one of those things where people just look for a problem after a solution has been brought.
Exactly what it is. Without the student loan system in place, we would be worse off in society. So it's a mitigating policy to see how far it can help those who can be helped. All right? So I don't really understand how creating a student loan system is now going to encourage people to go into all sorts of things to be able to meet up. What would it be like if that facility was not available in the first place? So that is a solution being brought forth for a problem that already exists, which is no access
to finances. Now,
finances.
Let's look a little bit more critically at some of the criteria to be a beneficiary. You have to come with sureties. Now, for most people, if we are very honest, right? For most people who fall within that category of between 500,000 and below as annual income, right? Let's be very honest, right? From what you know of Nigeria, most of those people are either cleaners. Most of those people are either individuals basically who earn anywhere from 25,000 or 30,000 to 100,000, less in some cases. Because if you earn 100,000 in this country a month, that means your annual salary is about 1.2 million naira. So that immediately removes you from the equation. Now, those people who earn less than, those families, they probably don't know who their local government councillor is. They probably won't be able to get a lawyer who will act as a surety for them. The next question now comes, wouldn't this breed another level, right, of corruption where people now say, okay, I will stand as surety for people who don't have something, but you will give me small money?
Well, I believe that as the days come and go, the months come and go, the weeks come and go, of course, that there will be a lot of fine-tuning in terms of the efficiency of the student loan system. We'll learn a lot as we go. But then it is standard practice, Jude. If you want to take a loan from any facilitator, you need there are procedures. You need guarantors. You need all sorts of this, all of these things. It is also for the sustainability of the system. If the education bank, as the Act now seeks to establish, comes up, and for all of the loans taken, they are not repaid, what is the sustainability of it going forward? So, like I said, if you are a person of integrity and your intentions truly are to follow up with what will become incumbent on you to do after accessing the loan, then it wouldn't be much of a problem going through the processes to try and access a loan that you intend to pay back. And again, Jude, this also would inspire students and maybe the entire academic framework to start looking at things alternatively, right? Maybe now gone will be the days of going through university just for the sake of it. Because if you know that there is something waiting for you, then while even in the process, you now start to look at ways to transform the knowledge that you're getting into a service or a product that you can exchange
for value,
for value and income, through which you can now start to offset your debt going forward. But most importantly, what is the opportunity cost? What is the alternative? Is it better to be depressed because of the prospect of paying back tuition 2 years after your national service, or a lifetime of not having tertiary education at all, which severely disadvantages you in the grand scheme of things?
017-923-0002, 017-923-0007. The WhatsApp number is 0809-030-6416, 0809-030-6416. That's where you find us on WhatsApp and Telegram. Now, Noye sent this message. It says, on students' loan bill, the loan will end up in the hands of fake students. The major aim of establishing the bill will be forfeited because none of the people that mostly need the loan will meet up the conditions. But that's the thing. If the Noye, thank you very much. If those who are meant to get it are those who are 500,000 below, right, it should really get to them, because obviously if your parents earn more, if you earn more, your bank account will definitely show that you earn more than you claim. Well, that's the way it should be. Osara is speaking to us from Rumolumini. Osara, good morning to you, please.
Yeah, good morning, Jude.
Good morning.
All right, I think the student loan is a welcome idea. It's a promise being fulfilled by the president, but there's a way it can really go down, not to pose problems. And that's if this loan is paid directly to the university account. Maybe the loan, every student should be entitled to the loan, and the loan can be slashed into half. Half should be for tuition.
Yeah.
Maybe if the school fees is 100,000 naira, they use half of the loan to service for all students the school fees, and they have to pay half of it. Then if a student requires an additional amount, that is when he would go on to get sureties and all these rigors that has been outlined. With that, it will really touch everybody, and everybody will be happy. So that if the basic has been done, slashing the school fees down, anybody that wants an extra money from the government should be ready to go through the processes and should also be ready to pay. That's my suggestion for this.
Oh, all right, Osaro, thank you very much. Like Kosi said, my guest this morning says, look, it's just started, all right? As the days and weeks go by, there'll be learning curves. We're going to find out things. If problems do arise, like some of you are already prophesying and postulating that would come, then they will be addressed. But the idea in itself is not a bad one. 0809-030-6416, 0809-030-6416 at Nigeria Info PH. At Nigeria Info PH is where you find us on Facebook and on Twitter at Nigeria Info PH. At Nigeria Info PH is where you find us on Facebook and on Twitter. All right. Let's get to read some messages. Sammy says, even Jesus found it very difficult to please the multitude. No matter how good your intentions are, you can never satisfy everyone. At least today, no one is saying the policy is bad, but rather they are saying, no, you shouldn't have done this, but should have done that. All right, it's a long message, though. Adi Okesisi says this is politically done. All right. So Tony says this loan, it sounds somehow good, though, but it's not good. Interesting. All right. Kelechi Onwumana says, I am not in support of the idea of loans to pay bills. I prefer scholarship and massive skill acquisition schemes that will give birth to mass production. Payment of school fees by taking loans is not good for us here because of the unemployment issues. How would the loans be paid back without job opportunities? One of the biggest questions. Kosi.
How would the loans be paid back without job opportunities? Well, yeah, unemployment is a very big issue, and government has been culpable over the years for not creating the
enabling environment, the cliche
environment. But then again, like I said, it is completely voluntary. You weigh your options. How much does tertiary education mean to you? How much do you want it? And if you weigh your options and via your own volition, you say, okay, I want it enough to want to owe government and want to an interest-free loan, by the way, in a climate where education is already highly subsidized compared to other places, then you take the loan and then be prepared to do what you have to do to pay it back voluntarily. It's completely from your free will.
Voluntarily. So we're going to put our bus in its brakes. Put the brakes right on our bus right now on our conversation. We have to wrap up here this morning. Unfortunately, can't take all of your comments and your views here. But yes, it is a feisty conversation. It is still very active online at Nigeria Info PH. Follow us on all social media platforms and do the same with me. Yes, on Mommy with Jude on Twitter as well. Would you be taking the loan? One of the biggest questions has been coming through because as one of those of us who have graduated, do we go back and maybe start all over again? Like Kosi said, the choice is yours. No one is holding you at gunpoint and coercing you to do that. Kosi, thank you very much for joining me this morning.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. So more drama to come as we regard the educational sector. I can't wait for an official statement from ASU and the arguments. I love to discuss these things. Talking for development right here on Hello Port Harcourt. My name is Jude. Good morning. News coming up your way by midday.